I'll say Bismillah. You always say that in the beginning.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. Where do we start? So we're on hadith we're on Bab 100, يعني 100th chapter. Bab إذا كره أن where's the microphone at? Necesito?
Sounds perfect though.
Yeah. It's better with the microphone. خلاص. Where's the microphone at? Alright. باب إذا كره أن يأكل مع عبده. Alright, so this is a chapter if the person dislikes to eat with a slave or servant. So this is hadith number 198. So قال الإمام البخاري رحمه الله تعالى. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. No, I did not get a chance to check the hadith about the color green. حدثنا محمد بن سلام قال أخبرنا مخلد ابن خالد ابن يزيد I'm thinking of another مخلد. This is when you start narrating from your memory and you're not reading the page. مخلد ابن يزيد قال أخبرنا ابن جريج قال أخبرني أبو زبير أنه سمعه يسأل جابر عن خادم الرجل إذا كفاه المشقة والحر أمر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يدوعه قال نعم إن كره أحدكم أن يطعم معه فليطعمه أكلة في يده. Alright, so this hadith is sahih. So here we have Abu Zubair. He said, أنه سمعه. He heard a man ask, and Jabir, about the servant of a person. And the person, إذا كفاه المشقة والحر. Al-mashaqqa is the difficulty. Al-har obviously is the heat. Because while the person's cooking, they're undergoing the difficulties of the heat. You got to keep in mind too that this is a very hot place in the middle of the desert with no air conditioning back in those days. So when they had to cook, it was really a lot of mashaqqa, man. So almost done. So the servant, he goes and he undertakes all these difficulties in dealing with the heat to prepare the food. Then he said, Amara Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam yadu'ahu. And then he said, after all this, and then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded him to eat with us. So this is in the form of a question. So he's asking it, he's trying to find this information. Do we have to eat with the servant even after he's cooked and done all this stuff with us? And maybe, Allahu Alam, because if the person's been cooking, his appearance is not going to be the nicest appearance. And maybe even his smell is not going to be the nicest of smells because he's going to be in that kitchen sweating over that heat and everything. So maybe that's the purpose of him asking, did the Prophet ﷺ command us to eat with them? Did they have to eat with us? And he said, قال نعم. He said, yes. He said, فَإِنْ كَرِهَ أَحَدَكُمْ. And he says, if one of you dislikes, and يَطْعَمَ مَعَهُ. But here the dislike is not because of eating with a servant. The dislike, it came in another narration in Sahih Muslim, where the dislike is because of the little amount of food. All right, because they don't like that the servant eats with them because the food is too little. It's not sufficient. So he said, if you do dislike this for this purpose, for the small amount of food that's there, because just the resources aren't available. He said, فَلْيُطْعَمْهُ أُكْلَةً فِي يَدِهِ. Then at least give him some of the food that you're eating from, and give it to him that he can eat. Give it. He says give it to him in his hand, but obviously give it to him in something that he can eat in. So if he doesn't eat with you at the table or at the place that you're eating, then at least give him some food from what you're eating, even if it's a small amount. Because like I said, the issue about why they were asking about that he dislikes that the servant eats with him because the food is little, and and maybe he has a big family, and then if the servant comes and eats also, not saying that the servant doesn't eat food, it's not like they're not going to feed him, But, you know, if they have like certain type of food for the family, then they'll give him some other type of food. Maybe that's less quality or something like that. But the Prophet ﷺ commanded them to give them, even if it's a little amount, give it to them, give it to the servant, even if he doesn't eat with you. And this hadith is sahih. We're going to take all of these hadith because they're all similar in nature. All right. So chapter 101, Bab yut'imul abda mimma ya'kul. All right. So you should feed the slave from what you eat. 199. حدثنا عبد الله بن مسلمة عبد الله بن مسلمة ابن قعنب القعنبي. حدثنا مروان ابن معاوية. Where's your notebook at? You're not writing stuff down no more. What happened? Come on, man, you ate. All right, Marwan ibn Muawiyah and Al-Fadl ibn Mubashir. Al-Fadl ibn Mubashir is da'if. We spoke about him maybe 4 or 5 hadiths ago, I believe. He came in a recent hadith. Where are you, Fadl ibn Mubashir? I know, Fadl ibn Mubashir, hadith number 188. Yeah, so he's da'if. But the hadith lahu shawahid. Alright, so he said, قال سمعت جابر بن عبد الله رضي الله عنهما يقول كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يوصي بالمملوكين خيرا ويقول أطعموهم مما تأكلون والبسوهم من لبوسكم ولا تعذبوا خلق الله عز وجل. Alright, so he said he heard Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhuma say that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to advise the people. He used to advise the people to treat their slaves and servants with good. He said, "Yaqulu, feed them from the food that you eat. وَالْبِسُوهُمْ مِنْ لُبُوسِكُمْ, and clothe them from the clothing that you wear. وَلَا تُعَذِّبُوا خَلْقَ اللَّهِ, and do not punish the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal." And if I'm not mistaken, this might actually be the exact same hadith. Let me see. 188. Wallahi, the same hadith. So yeah. So just like I said in 188, the same hukum. The hadith lahu shawahid. This chain of narration is weak because of Al-Fadl ibn Mubashir, but lahu shawahid. Alright, chapter 102. Bab hal yajlisu khadimuhu ma'ahu idha akal. So he said, does the servant sit with him when he eats? حدثنا مسدد. What did I say about Musaddad? Whenever we say Musaddad, what? How I say? You're tired today, or what? Taban. Musaddad. If we see Musaddad, what? I said generally, if you see Musaddad, that means that the hadith is going to at least be in Bukhari. This is not going to be the case with this hadith. This is not in Bukhari. The asl of this hadith is in the Sahih, but not this chain of narration. And it probably was narrated by Musaddad if we go back and check the actual narration in Bukhari and Muslim. But this chain of narration is not that chain of narration. So حدثنا مسدد قال حدثنا يحيى بن سعيد القطان عن إسماعيل بن أبي خالد عن أبيه. So Abu Khalid, right here you got Abu Khalid, Ismail ibn Abi Khalid. He narrates from his father Abu Khalid. Abu Khalid, from what they said, and they differed as far as his name. Some of the people said his name is Sa'ad. Other people said other than that, he's majhul. He doesn't narrate. Nobody narrates from him except for his son. Only his son. Nobody else. So that's it. So he's majhul. The hadith is, this chain of narration is da'if. But like I said, the asl of this hadith is in Bukhari and Muslim. So. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا جاء أحدكم خادمه بطعامه فليجلسه فإن لم يقبل فليناوله منه. Alright, so he said that Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if a person, إذا جاء أحدكم خادمه بطعامه, so
Sorry.
he did that in Salat, man, he almost made me jump, man.
I thought you didn't know.
Like, I thought I made a mistake or something. I heard like, I'm like, what? No.
I'm trying to fight.
Alright, so if a person's servant comes to him with his food, فَلْيُجْلِسْهُ, then he should make him sit down. So if he comes and brings the food to you, that you what? You say, sit down, eat with me. And it's فَلْيُجْلِسْهُ. And like, let him sit next to you. فَإِن لَمْ يَقْبَلْ, if he doesn't accept, now this is from him, that he says, no, he doesn't accept, فَلْيَنَاوِلْهُ مِنْهُ, then he should give him some of the food from his plate, And so if he's not going to eat with him, then at least give him some of the food. So we see all of these narrations are all similar in nature, and that we still got one more to go. But you see that either one, the best case scenario, if the food is sufficient and everything, and you have a servant, that the servants what? Eat with the people. They're done. They've already, labored in the kitchen and doing all preparation for the food. Let them relax. Let them eat with you. But if the food is not sufficient, or in this case, the servant himself doesn't want to eat with the person, then at the very least, you give them from the food that you're eating. All right, from the fresh food. You don't give them the leftovers. You don't give, because this is what a lot of people do. They go stick their hands in the plate and eat, and then whatever's left over, take that to the servants. No, that's disrespectful. That's disrespectful. You give them from the exact same. You wouldn't want the servants to do that. If a servant did that in the house, ate from the food and then gave you what was left over, you'd fire him. You get rid of him. He's gone. He's not in your house no more. All right. So the same way that you expect that respect for yourself, then respect them also. Because they're human beings. And they should be treated with respect regardless of their situation. So you give them from the same food that you eat, and that's what the Prophet ﷺ means when he says that you feed them from the food that you eat, that the food that you will eat, not the food that you like left over and said we don't want this and go take this. No, from the food that you wanted, feed them from that. All right, so 201. حدثنا بشر بن محمد المروزي قال أخبرنا عبد الله. So if you see Bishr, we spoke about this before. Bishr ibn Muhammad is al-Marwazi. Abdullah here is going to be Ibn al-Mubarak, because Ibn al-Mubarak is what? He's al-Marwazi. You weren't here that day. All right. قال أخبرنا أبو يونس البصري عن ابن أبي مليكة قال أبو محذورة. Abu Mahdura, Sahabi. He's from the Mu'adhdhineen. All right, so if you go and you read Sunan Abi Dawud in the Kitab al-Adhan, you're going to see Abu Mahdura. In fact, today I was so hungry reading Sunan Abi Dawud that I got angry reading Abu Mahdura, because I actually passed by those ahadith today. And I was like, again. He kept bringing all the narrations from Abu Mahdura. So the Prophet ﷺ had 4 Mu'adhdhineen. Who were they?
I know 2 of them.
Well, I asked about 4. Start naming them off. You should know 3. Because I just said Abu Mahdura. Come on, give me one. Start. Let's begin. Huh? Bilal ibn Rabah. Who else?
Ibn Maktoum.
Ibn Maktoum. We even said that in the comments. All right. Abu Mahdura. Who else? One more. I had to search for that one too. Sa'd ibn A'id al-Qarab. All right, al-Qarab. All right, so the two mu'adhins for the Masjid al-Nabi. What? Bilal ibn Maktoum. All right, the Masjid al-Haram in Mecca was Abu Mahdura. Al-Quba was Sa'd. So those are the 4 mu'adhinun. All right. So Abu Mahdura said, كنت جالسا عند عمر radiallahu anhu. He said, I was sitting with Umar radiallahu anhu, إذا جاءه صفوان ibn Umayyah. When Safwan ibn Umayyah, he arrived. بِجَفْنَةٍ يَحْمِلُهَا نَفَرٌ فِي أَبَاعَةٍ. And he said, بِجَفْنَة. He came with a big bowl, like this big bowl, right? يَحْمِلُهَا نَفَرٌ. Like people were carrying it. It was a huge, obviously a huge bowl. يَحْمِلُ نَفَرٌ فِي أَبَاعَةٍ. So, but they weren't carrying it like this. They were carrying it in a aba'a, which means what? It's a piece of clothing. But I guess Allah knows best. They were probably holding it like that, with the jafna inside. Obviously, if it's hot or something like that, for whatever reason, they had it in a aba'a. All right, فَوَضَعُوهَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْ عُمَرٍ, and they put it between, in front of Umar. فَدَعَا عُمَرُ نَاسًا مَسَاكِينَ, and then Umar called for some poor people, وَأَرِقَاء, and some of the slaves, مِنْ أَرِقَاءِ النَّاسِ, and he called for the poor people and the slaves to be brought to him to eat with him. All right, حَوْلَهُ, and to be sat around him. فَأَكَلُوا مَعَهُ, and they ate with him. ثُمَّ قَالَ عِنْدَ ذَلِكَ, and then he said, فَعَلَ اللَّهُ بِقَوْمٍ, أو قَالَ لَحَ اللَّهُ قَوْمٍ. And he made dua on people. So فَعَلَ اللَّهُ بِقَوْمٍ, I mean, may Allah do this to a people. لَحَ اللَّهُ قَوْمًا, I mean, it means قَبَّحَهُمْ وَلَعَنَهُم. So it's a very, very strong dua that he's making right here. يَرَغَبُونَ عَنْ أَرِقَائِهِمْ أَنْ يَأْكُلُوا مَعَهُمْ. So he's making dua against the people that dislike that their slaves eat with them. Their slaves or their servants eat with them. He said, أَنْ يَأْكُلُوا مَعَهُمْ. فَقَالَ صَفْوَانَ. Safwan said, أَمَّا وَاللَّهِ مَا نَرَغَبْ عَنْهُمْ. But then Safwan said, Wallahi, we swear by Allah that it's not that we don't desire that they eat with us. وَلَكِنَّ نَسْتَأْثِرُ عَلَيْهِمْ. نَسْتَأْثِرُ عَلَيْهِمْ, it means that we only have a little bit of food and we choose that food for ourselves. And we don't, that's the reason why, because the food is little. لَا نَجِدُ وَاللَّهِ مِنَ الطَّعَامِ الطَّيِّبِ. We don't find enough of good food. مَا نَأْكُلُ وَنُطْعِمُهُم. So we don't find enough of the good food for us to eat and for them to eat. So he said that's the reason why we don't sit with them. So that's, like I said, that goes back to the narration in Sahih Muslim. This narration right here is authentic also. All right, this is authentic. So we see, the fadl of, this shows humility. It shows humbleness, and because, again, all of us are servants of Allah. All of us are slaves of Allah. All of us, no matter what your status is. The only person that's going to come with a better status on the Day of Judgment is going to be the person of taqwa, the person of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those are the only people that earn the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this life. Nobody cares about a person's status in this life. A person remains in the obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala no matter what his situation, no matter how the people treat him, no matter how the people look down on him. He remains in the obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this life. And Allah raises him in this life and the next, and he becomes one of those people from the awliya of Allah, لَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. That's all that matters, the people that have no fear, no regret, no sadness. We'll take a few questions. We go to Sharia and then we're out today, inshallah. What time's the adhan for Isha?
Very soon. 8:19.
Hamid Jamal said, Ustad, could you explain? What time?
8:19.
Could you explain the difference between placing the hands on the chest and the view? There's no narration that's authentic. Sheikh Al-Albani probably, I think he saw the hadith as being Hassan. But all the chains of narration, like fi kalam, about placing the hands on the chest. But as far as grabbing the wrist, that is authentic. All right. So the thing is how would you grab the wrist? Where would your hands have to be to do that? I don't know. For me, it's more comfortable to do it like that than to do it like that. So I don't, there is a narration that is authentic that Ali radiallahu anhu, that he had his hands down like this, that he used to pray like that. And that narration is authentic. But as far as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam literally placing his hands on his chest, like I said, there's difference of opinion, but Allah knows best. The stronger opinion is that those narrations are not authentic. And inshallah, we're going to go through that. And when we start Bulugh al-Maram, inshallah.
You read about the pouring of the water?
I got to go back and understand what narration, what class you're talking about. You want me to demonstrate for you? It's like, so I want to look.
It wasn't pouring, it was wiping. At least.
Fudger, man, you're not. You're an Aisha guy. You're a Maghrib and Aisha guy. You're not a
No,
Fudger
because
guy.
by the time.
Not saying I'm not saying that Hamza's not a Fudger guy, so y'all don't think that he doesn't pray Fudger in the masjid. He prays Fudger in the masjid, just not here.
Because by the time I leave the house, it's already.
Yeah, he lives far away.
I live like 30, almost 35 minutes away, so.
So we some of the times you guys ask questions about the Dars of Bukhari, and he's thinking we're talking about something else, and he tries to answer, but he's not. By the way, we finished recording all of the missing lessons from daily hadith.
I wonder why.
So we got the introduction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 19. Because for some reason we were missing 19. I don't know why. It got lost. Maybe I thought I uploaded it, deleted it, and I just now saw that we didn't have 19. So we recorded all that. So.
لو سمحت في واحد على يعني ما يجوز من وراء أن تكشف في مقابلة الزواج.
Where are you at?
في
I'm gonna go in order, man.
لا هذا يكون يعني.
Yeah, I'll get there, inshallah. Most of these are not even questions, anyways. Allah yuhayyik. What is permissible for a woman to show in the marriage meeting? Look, man, it's very simple, right? Her face, and she just wears like loose clothing where it's like, obviously, you can tell the body shape without, her revealing herself. Because there's a lot of other ways anyways, man. You could look at her hands, you could look at her ankle bones, you could look at anything to see, if she's going to be a woman that's going to, put on a lot of weight.
Hair too or no?
Huh?
Is it permissible to show her hair?
I don't know.
Sheikh al-Uthaymin said yes. I think even Muqbil said yes too.
If he said yes, but they do not do that in Yemen. You're not going to see that girl's hair in Yemen.
Yeah,
You're not.
The dad would fight you if he's.
That's what I'm saying. I never, does that issue go back to the Urf or does that go back to, what's the dalil?
I don't know. Like, it was like a short, like a minute clip that I seen.
So go back and find it.
Right now?
I mean, obviously she doesn't come in like, short shorts and a halter top and, she still has to remain covered, but, yeah. So for me personally, I wouldn't. If I had a daughter, I wouldn't let them see the hair. She'd wear hijab, and she wear like enough clothing that you could just kind of see, whether she's thin or fat, or whatever, which you can't really tell, but just enough to kind of get the idea, and at the very most, you want to see her ankle bone or something like that, because like I said, the shins and the ankle bones you can kind of tell. If she's gonna, when she gets married and she gets starts having babies, what she's gonna look like in 15 years, Is she gonna stay thin or is she gonna blow up like the house? So all of that, you can see that with the bone structure. Yeah. Allah musta'an.
Abdul Malik said, he told me, he didn't say it in the chat. He said if you want to know how her body will look like in a couple years, you go look at her mom. He started mentioning Egyptian.
Yeah, but she might not have the bone structure of her mother, Maybe her father's like a real skinny dude that just stays skinny until he's like 95 years old. And the mother, she has a different bone structure. So you don't know. I'm telling you, man, those ankles, like the ankles and the feet, they don't lie. And you see those women, they got like big big calves and all that. Boy, she's gonna blow up. Like she's gonna get big. She's gonna get big, like stalky big.
UFC.
But those are also the women that the Arabs preferred because those are the stronger women when it came to childbirth and things like that. So That's another thing that you gotta look at. Said, is it permissible, is it haram to sit in a place where someone's awrah is exposed? Since it's haram to sit in a place where there's haram. Why would you be sitting where somebody's awrah is exposed? Somebody's awrah is exposed. How could you sit there anyways? You like at a bus stop and the guy's like, running around with his pants falling off. I mean, you see this out here.
The first one I've seen a guy fully naked here on the west side. Fully naked. He just
you go out here in the morning, you see all types of craziness. Yeah. So we saw one guy one day. He's high on whatever drug he was on. Went into an abandoned car, and he took I guess he was taking his pants off or whatever, and you go up, we're driving, and you just see like his butt hanging out the car, man. It's like, the only thing because we thought he was dead at first, so that was the only thing, man. It's like, God, man, that's two horrible things to see in one day, a dead man and his butt. It's like, oh yeah, man, you see all that stuff.
When I was at the restaurant, I went to go pick up my little brother. A prostitute walks up to me. She said, "Did you want to go down the street?" I said, "What the?" I said, "Get out of here." Straight up. Later said, "Get out, get out."
Allah Musta'an. So yeah, I don't know how you can sit anywhere where somebody's awrah is exposed. I would have to leave. Even the bus is not that important. So, Ustad, can you briefly summarize the concept of tasfiyah wa tarbiyah? Tasfiyah is that you got to get out all the garbage. You have to clean the people's beliefs out first. You can't because you can't start teaching people, right? And their beliefs are messed up, because they've been affected by kufr. They've been affected by all these misguided groups. So a tasfiyah is you got to cleanse the person first. You got to purify them. You have to fix their beliefs. And that's why I say when we start our dawah, we don't start with other people's misguidance. Teaching the people about the beliefs of the Jahmiyyah, teaching the people about the Mu'tazila. First and foremost, we have to purify the people's beliefs. We have to let them understand, the Arkan al-Iman, Arkan al-Islam, what is ihsan. We have to go over the correct aqeedah with them. We have to teach them kitab al-tawheed, al-usul al-thalatha, al-qu'ad al-arba, kashf al-shubahat. We have to clean out the slate, clean it out, and make sure that their beliefs are correct and pure. And then after that, after you've cleansed that, and you've gotten all that jahiliyyah out, and now they know what is correct and what is not correct, what is iman and what is deen and what is jahiliyyah, kufr, shirk and bid'ah and all this. Now you can start with the tarbiyah. Now you can start raising them up. You raise them up on the sunnah, because now you're raising them up with a clean slate. But otherwise, if you just allow that stuff to stay in, and you start the tarbiyah portion without the tasfiyah, and you're just building on shaky grounds. So you start the foundation. The foundation first and foremost. It's a lot different, right? When you're dealing with your children, because when you're dealing with your children, what? There's no tasfiyah because they're on the fitrah. They haven't been taught anything. So you start teaching them right away the correct beliefs. But we're dealing with people who live their lives as not Muslims, or if they are Muslims, they grew up amongst the kuffar, or they grew up amongst the people of bid'ah. They grew up amongst all these groups. So,
Agnostics and
whoever, kuffar, khalas, kuffar and ahlul bid'ah. So the point is that their belief system is completely messed up. So you got to go and fix that first before you can start teaching them and raising them up to understand the sunnah and practice the sunnah correctly. Because otherwise they'll be filtering everything that you teach them through that messed up filter they have.
The Syrian brother Abdullah. That's him in the chat, right?
Who's that?
The Syrian brother who always comes to the class. Abdullah Tara. I don't know that. That's him.
Who?
The very last comment, Abdullah Tara. He said,
I'll get to him.
That was Hamza having hiccups.
See, even he can hear it. Does a person have to invite a servant to eat at every meal, including tea time? What if the servant is an opposite gender? If it's a servant, now it's not a possession. and it's the opposite gender, then no, it's not allowed to mix. She can sit with, if it's a female, she can sit with the females. If it's a male, then he can sit with the males. And it cannot mix. If it's a slave and the slave is owned by the man, then the female can sit with him. But if the slave is a female and it's owned by the woman, then no, she cannot sit with him. All right.
Do you know the Prophet ﷺ, how an old woman, like a very old woman, one time she grabbed his hand and she walked with him around, was it Mecca or Medina? So what's the ruling if a very old lady that's not my mahram, she grabs my hand?
You just said it.
It's permissible.
And the Prophet did it, did he?
Okay, I don't know if it was.
What are you asking me for?
I don't know, because I don't know if that was like something that's exclusive for him or whatnot.
No, that's an old lady. These are women that like khalas, they're beyond the age of like, you know,
Okay.
like
Because
70 years old, 80 years old, and like nobody's gonna sit there and like, you know, you walking around, you know, holding the hand of an 80-year-old woman, and they're like, oh my God, Hamza's over there messing with them hot girls in Fresno, you know. So it's like,
oh, because my mom one time, she had a very, very old lady come over one day. And then she's like, the lady was like, oh, salam alaikum with me. And then she took out her hand for me to, you know, kiss her hand. You know, دع ما يريبك إلى ما يريبك. So I said, you know, no. So I just said, wa alaikum salam.
now go back and kiss her hand now.
I just follow the hadith, دع ما يريبك إلى ما لا يريبك.
If someone's Muslim parents say stop bringing Allah into everything, how does one have wala? I would tell them stop bringing the dunya into everything. Yeah. Oh man, I don't know how to deal with these situations, man. You have to go to like a person who has Muslim parents.
Can I give advice on this?
No.
Because it'll be short, very short.
I want to keep it moving.
No, because it'll help them. It's for the person to help them.
No, the best thing to do is go to a person that understands the situation, that's there with them, that can advise them.
Just call Abdul Or just call Abdul
Is there a prohibition against separating a mother animal from her children? We have many stray cats. I don't know. I don't know of anything that prohibits that. Not for the animals.
Is it haram to buy a turtle?
I don't know anything that says it's haram to buy a turtle. The only thing that's mentioned in the hadith is a dog. You can't buy dogs. You can't, you can't sell dogs. No, that's weak.
Cats are
Shad.
permissible to buy. There you go. They are. Yeah, he said it's permissible to buy cats.
They said that narration in Sahih Muslim is shad. Sinor is a cat, but it said that's not from the original. That's not, because it mentions the mahar al-baghi, which is the money that you give to a prostitute, and the thaman al-kalb. But then the other narrations of the cat's not mentioned.
My sisters are going to be happy tonight. So I tell them.
You still shouldn't buy one, though, if you could avoid it. You shouldn't have to. There's enough cats out there. You can go around and get cats for free. All you got to do is, I'm pretty sure if you can go online and just look up who's giving out free cats in Fresno, I'm pretty sure you can find. You don't need to buy no cats, man.
Offer up. Remember, I called him last time. I got 12 of him. You're going to go to an opera meeting.
All right, people, we're going to read Sharia and we're going to get out of here, man. Because I'm not in a good mood today. Did not eat, and what I did eat was like early this morning, and it was not good. All right, so we finished the first ayat, and now we still got the last one to go. وقال عز وجل في سورة الشورى شرع لكم من الدين ما وصى به نوحا والذي أوحينا إليك وما وصينا به إبراهيم وموسى وعيسى أن أقيموا الدين ولا تتفرقوا فيه كبروا على المشركين ما تدعوهم إليه الله يجتبي إليه من يشاء ويهدي إليه من ينيب. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Shura, this is the last of these, the second string of ayat that he brought. He said, شَرَعَ لَكُمْ مِنَ الدِّينِ. So he legislated you and he made legislated for you from the deen, ma wassa bihi Nuh, the same that the same that he commanded Nuh to follow. وَالَّذِي أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ, and what we have revealed to you, and this is referring to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَمَا وَصَّيْنَا بِهِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَمُوسَى وَعِيسَى. All of these five are what? Who are these?
Ulul Azm.
The Ulul Azm, yes.
Speaking about Noor, who made you mad?
Nobody made me mad. I was just revising.
Oh,
I haven't read it in a while.
You said you only read sort of Noor once in a while.
No. Not all the time. I said most of the time. Finish all this letter. Alright. So those are the Ulul Azm. So the same, because this is the same deen. The only thing that differs, I mean, obviously the legislation of Salat, Siyam, and all this differs. But the asl of all the da'wah of the Anbiya is one. Is the da'wah ila tawheed, and da'wah to what? Follow what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to His messenger, and don't follow other than that, and don't differ in that which was sent down. So that's the same da'wah. All the way from Nuh, all the way up to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the same da'wah. They, like I said, it might have differed in some cases about how, the prayer and everything, but the da'wah is the same. He said, "An aqimud deen," and this is what he said, this is what the da'wah is. "An aqimud deen," to establish this deen. To establish this deen as obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and follow it the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent it down. Not the way that you want to do it, not the way that you feel, or your opinion about certain things, following your opinions or your desires, but follow it the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed it. وَلَا تَتَفَرَّقُوا فِيهِ, and don't differ and break up, amongst each other in regards to this. Because if again, we talked about that, it's when the people follow their opinions and follow their desires and listen to shaitan, that's when everybody starts to go against each other. كَبُرَ عَلَى الْمُشْرِكِينَ مَا تَدْعُوهُمْ إِلَيْهِ. What is that? What does this mean? Y'all keep giving me these blank stares. I gotta see it. كَبُرَ عَلَى الْمُشْرِكِينَ مَا تَدْعُوهُمْ إِلَيْهِ. It becomes big, in the eyes of the kuffar of the mushrikeen, what you're calling them to. What are you calling them to? It's Tawheed, Islam, to leave off their ibadat al-awthan, to follow, the legislation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down, and to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone with no partners. This is very great and very difficult for them. It's like, they can't, how can they do this? So, and then after that, he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, he said, Allahu yashtabi ilayhi man yasha'u. What does that mean?
Allah brings near to him who He wants.
No. Ishtaba, what does it mean? Ishtaba, it means istafa or ikhtara. He chooses whoever He wants to give them the guidance. Allahu yashtabi ilayhi man yasha. Yashtabi ilayhi ish. Ad-deen. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses to guide to this deen whoever He wishes. These are like the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees who are befitting, and He gives them this guidance. So according to the tafsir, say Allahu yashtabi ilayhi man yasha, and I don't know which one of this is because I didn't write it, whether it's Baghawi or Tafsir Kathir or Ibn Jarir, because I was reading all three of them today. هو الذي يقدر الهداية لمن يستحقها ويكتب الضلالة على من آثرها على طريق الرشد. So he said, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, هو الذي يقدر الهداية. He's the one who writes, and destines for this person the guidance. لمن يستحقها, for the person who deserves it, for the person that is befitting for this guidance. He said, ويكتب الضلالة, and he writes misguidance على من آثرها. على من آثرها, that means that the person who chooses that misguidance over the guidance. When he sees, the path of guidance, what? إن يروا رشد سبيل الرشد لا يتخذوه سبيلا وَإِن يَرَوْا سَبِيلَ الْغَيِّ يَتَّخِذُوهُ سَبِيلًا. So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about them, that when they see these paths, they see the path of guidance, they don't take it. When they see the path of misguidance, they take it. So these are the people that آثَرَهَا عَلَى طَرِيقِ الرُّشْدِ, that they chosen that path over the path of guidance. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's the one that chooses who He wants for this deen. So like I said, this is a privilege, an honor, a ni'mah, a blessing, something that deserves gratitude. Lots of gratitude. Because if you come to Islam, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen you for Islam. And not just like, because Allah maybe He chose you to just be a guy who just prays his 5 daily prayers and fasts in Ramadan, and maybe goes on Hajj once in his life. And then what if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose you to be more than that? And chose you to be more than that. So the more that He, bestows upon you from His fadl and His ni'mah, His blessings and His bounties, and the more gratitude that we have to show, because if we don't show that gratitude, then it will be taken away from us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can easily replace us with somebody else who will do exactly what they're supposed to do if we're not going to do it. So He said, وَيَهْدِي إِلَيْهِ مَنْ يُنِيبُ, and He guides to this deen those that yunib. Anaba, yunibu, inabatan. What does it mean? We just spoke about it the other day.
I can come back fully.
Huh? That you when you return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in obedience. If you mess up, you make a mistake, that you immediately go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in obedience. You don't, you don't take a vacation, you realize that you did something wrong, you repent, and you go straight back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in obedience. Alright.
Some say I have credit points. I can do sin and because I have a lot of good deeds.
You don't know, because you don't know if your good deeds have been accepted in the first place. And if you're that stupid to think that you have credit points, then that's probably a sign that your good deeds have not been accepted. Because if your good deeds have been accepted, inshallah, that should bring humility and humbleness to you and make you more grateful. Yeah. So, Allah musta'an. As far as the person asking, because I keep asking this question, can you explain? You said in the lesson that Allah doesn't misguide. Yeah, akhi, misguide in the English language. It means to do something wrong. You read something correctly, you misread it, you read it wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't do anything wrong. Everything that He does is from hikmah. So we don't use these words in the English language like misguide. Allah doesn't misguide anybody. Allah guides each person to where they deserve. If this guy deserves the guidance because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees good in his heart, Allah guides him to the truth. If this guy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees that his heart is corrupted and he doesn't accept the truth, then Allah guides him to where he's got to go. He goes to the path of destruction, the path of dalala. But that's not misguiding. Allah doesn't misguide anybody. Allah guides everybody correctly to where they deserve to be. So, alright, and then after that he said, قال محمد بن الحسين رحمه الله تعالى فهل يكون من البيان أشفى من هذا عند من عقل عن الله عز وجل? Could there be anything better, like more clear from that gives you this feeling of clarity than these ayat that He's brought for a person that has a sound mind and he can look at these ayat and understand them? Is it not clear enough for you? He said, وَتَدَبَّرَ مَا بِهِ, and he ponders that which is in these ayat. وَتَدَبَّرَ مَا بِهِ حَذَرَهُ مَا بِهِ حَذَرَهُ مَوْلَاهُ الْكَرِيمُ مِنَ الْفِرْقَةِ, and he ponders that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has warned him from, breaking up and going, being in different groups, and each hizb breaking up into his own little party. Then he said, ثُمَّ اعْلَمُوا رَحِمَنَا اللَّهُ تَعَالَى وَإِيَّاكُمْ. And he said, then know, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on us and you. أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ قَدْ أَعْلَمَنَا وَإِيَّاكُمْ فِي كِتَابِهِ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us and you in His book. أَنَّهُ لَا بُدْ مِنْ أَنْ يَكُونَ الْاخْتِلَافُ بَيْنَ خَلْقِهِ, that this differing amongst the people it's going to happen. There's no way that it's not going to happen. Because the only way that there can be no ikhtilaf amongst the people is what?
They agree upon truth.
Everybody on this earth follows the correct guidance and khalas. That's not going to happen. You know, what's the dealer for that?
وما يؤمن أكثرهم بالله إلا هم مشركون.
All right, well, another one. وما أكثر الناس
ولو حرصت بمؤمنين.
No. وما أكثر الناس ولو حرصت بمؤمنين. There's no matter what you do, no matter how much effort you put out to call the people, the majority of the people are not going to accept the truth. That's just the reality. So he said, لِيُضِلَّ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَيَهْدِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will leave to the path of misguidance to whomever He wills, and guide to that path of guidance to whomsoever He wills. جعل الله عز وجل ذلك موعظة يتذكر بها المؤمنون. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this like I guess you could say like a sermon, or like a lesson, a lesson for the people that موعظة يتذكر بها المؤمنون, for the believers to ponder. It's a strong lesson for the believers to ponder.
Can it be translated to a good reminder?
A reminder, but a reminder is more like a dhikra. Mu'idah is like a sermon, or you preach to the people for whatever, You see like the people doing something wrong, and you stop and you remind them, like you give them like the little, like what they're doing is wrong. That's more like that's a mu'idah. If you see somebody doing something wrong and you just mention the ayat to them to remind them quickly, that's like a dhikra, like something that's like a small reminder.
ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة. Like what is it?
When you preach to them,
okay.
You get up, Jum'ah al-khutbah is a mu'idah. Okay. You give a muhadara, that's a mu'idah. So he said, يَتَذَكَّرُ بِهَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. So this is something for like a lesson for the believers to ponder. فَيَحْذَرُونَ الْفِرَقَ. So they can beware of this differing. وَيُزِمُونَ الْجَمَاعَةِ. And they can remain with the group of the people of the Sunnah. وَيَدْعُونَ الْمِرَاءِ وَالْخُصُومَاتِ فِي الدِّينِ. And they leave off al-mira. وَيَدْعُونَ here, it means what? To leave off, not to call. But, alright, to leave off. وَيَدْعُونَ الْمِرَاءِ. Al-mira, it means what?
The mirror?
No. Mira, it means الشك وريب. الشك وريب. You say like لا شك ولا امتراء ولا مراء, like there's no doubt. All right. والخصومات, what?
Debating.
Yeah, and is that, and the arguing, differing amongst each other. Fit deen, because we don't do this in the deen. There's no khusumat. The person, if he has an issue and you have an issue, you go back to the Quran and the Sunnah and you solve the issue. We don't sit here and argue and debate and go back and forth, and each person trying to defeat the other one. That's not from the deen. That's from the deen of the kuffar. That's how they went astray, and that's how all these people continue to go astray, because they open up this deen as a topic for debate.
No.
This deen is not a topic for debate. This deen is a topic, and this is for learning. It's for learning how you can be a righteous person and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way that He commanded you to. It's not a time for debate. We learn our deen. If somebody has knowledge that we don't have, we go and we take that knowledge from that person. We don't sit around and argue. If there's an issue that comes up, we can sit down and we can go over that issue. And one person shares his evidence, the other person shares his evidence, and each person shares what he understands until we can come to a conclusion. But that evidence comes from the Quran and the Sunnah. That evidence does not come from your backside. All right, so this is the one thing that people need to understand, that this deen is not a subject for debate. And these people that run around and make this a subject of debate, where they open it up to debating kuffar and debating other Muslims and debating, this is not what the Prophet ﷺ went and did. This is not da'wah. Da'wah is that you call the people to tawheed. You don't call the people to tawheed by what? Using their own book, or using their, trying to use their arguments against them. No, you call the tawheed by telling them this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. This is what Allah commanded you to do. If they listen, they listen. If they don't, and they want to argue, you go on to the next person. You don't have to sit back. Nobody told you had to argue. The only people that have to argue are the people that what? The people of shak wal mira, the people of doubt. The people of yaqeen that understand, if you sat down and you studied this deen, and you really understand it. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to be right all the time. but you understand the foundations of this deen, and you're well grounded in the foundations of this deen, you don't need to argue with anybody. Because you're on yaqeen. Khalas. There's nothing that I can get from arguing with a buffoon on YouTube or some idiot in a park somewhere. You know, yeah, whatever. Whether that park is in Britain or America. It doesn't matter. There's nothing that I can benefit, you know, that's going to change my mind about the yaqeen that I'm on. But the thing is by arguing with them, maybe, you know, with the people that have that weakness in their foundation, that they bring that doubt to them. And that's why the people should, regardless of whether you're strong in your foundation or weak in your foundation, you should refrain from debates and arguing with these people. Because if you're weak in your foundation, you're just trying to learn your deen, then this fool comes along and starts arguing with you. Now he's practiced, you know, he's formulated these arguments and he's gotten practice debating people. He's got that skill. So he could just trash you in a debate. But if you really look back at his evidence, what? He's got nothing. He's got nothing. All he does is he knows how to defeat an opponent in an argument. And then if you're weak in your foundation and you're shaky in your foundation, it could cause you doubt. And then you start to doubt your deen. You know, so this is why we stay away from this. His deen is not a subject for debate. His deen is to be, you know, yu'azzam. You know, وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ what? شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. How is that doing ta'ظim of sha'a'ir? Oh yeah, I'm telling you, I'm going to sleep right after this. How is that doing ta'ظim of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down by you just using it as a debate and an argument tool? No. We do ta'ظim of this deen by doing what? By learning it, by practicing it, and by calling the people to it. That's it. Not by arguing it, not by going around. If the people want to attack us, and there's like a chance, like there's a situation where you absolutely have to stand up because somebody's leading the people astray, and you know that's a different situation. But we're a deen of what? We refute. We have reputations, and if you hear somebody saying something wrong, I don't need to get up on a stage with this fool and give him a platform and try to validate him. We refute him. That's what this deen is about, refutations. When people speak stupidity, we refute their stupidity, but we don't get up on the same venue and share a stage with them, and then what? And then like what we doing? We're validating an idiot. So no, we don't. This is not a part of this deen. We refute them. We refute them when we refute their ideas to protect the Muslims, because that's our concern. Our concern is not the idiot that wants to reject the guidance and follow his own desires. We're not concerned about him, but we are concerned about the Muslims that might listen to him, that might be, that might be misled by him, to follow what he's teaching, and you know that it's wrong. So we do that as a protection for the Muslims. We're not, you don't have to sit up here and try to convince some fool that we know clearly he's following his desires. If he's following his desires, you think he's going to sit there and listen to the evidence that you bring? No. So our duty is not to him. Forget him. Who is he? Our duty is to the people, to protect the people that he's leading astray, and to warn them, and to show them the batil that this person is on. And that's through refutations. It's not through debate. So Allah musta'an. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned that. He said, رُبَّمَا أَحَدُكُمْ يَكُنْ آنِهَاشًا يَكُنْ أَلْحَنْ بِحُجَّتِهِ مِنْ أَخِيهِ. The person might come to him with a khusuma. A khusuma here, it means an argument, and like in a court. Right? They bring their problems to the Prophet ﷺ. He said, رُبَّ أَحَدُكُمْ يَكُنْ أَلْحَنْ بِحُجَّتِهِ. Alhan, it means what? Afsah. Like he's able to express his side of the story better than his brother. So you got two people, right? And one person's a zalim and one person's mazlum. One person's the oppressor and one person is the oppressed. But maybe the oppressed, maybe he's not educated. Maybe he can't articulate his ideas. So the Prophet ﷺ said, رُبَّمَا يَكُنْ أَلْحَنْ مِنْ أَخِيهِ. That he comes and the oppressor is more articulate and he's able to express his ideas clearer and plainer than his brother. So he ends up judging for the person who what? Is the clearest one, the one that expressed, because this guy, he can't explain how he's been oppressed. He can't explain it. So he judges in favor of this other guy. So this shows you what? This shows you debate, right? And this is what the Prophet ﷺ said. He said, what was the rest of the hadith? Go look it up on I forgot that. I don't want to mess up the last part of the wording because I'm too tired right now.
Besides that, Brother Abdullah said, when are we planning on praying Isha? He texted me.
You're not here anyways. What do you care? What are you sitting in the parking lot?
No, I think he's like driving and he wants to know.
Oh, I don't know in a few minutes inshallah.
What was the wording?
يكون يعني ألحن بحجته من أخيه or something like that. You know, if you look that up, you'll find the hadith. So. Striving Slave said, which books create a strong faith foundation? All the books that you have to study to understand the basics of this deen. You know, you got Tawheed, you got Al-Aqidah, you got Fiqh, you got Usul al-Fiqh. You know, all of these things, they create that foundation that you have to have, you know. But the most important foundation is the foundation of the correct Aqidah.
This one's in Bukhari, it says Ablagh.
All right, but it doesn't matter. What's the last part?
Here. It's the middle. Because remember you said you scroll down.
No, but this is the narration right here. This is also in Bukhari. إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ. He says, so the Prophet ﷺ said that I'm a man. وَإِنَّمَا تَخْتَصِمُونَ إِلَيَّ. And you guys, you come to me with a khusuma, you know, where, you know, an argument between you. وَلَعَلَ بَعْضُكُمْ أَنْ يَكُونَ أَلْحَنْ بِحُجَّتِهِ مِنْ بَعْضٍ. So it said that it's possible that one of you might be more articulate with his hujjah, with his evidence, to show that he's not oppressing him. You know, he said, you know, than the other person. فَأَقْضِي عَلَى نَحْوِ مَا أَسْمَعُ. And he said, and I judge based on what I hear. فَمَنْ قَضَيْتُ لَهُ مِنْ حَقِّ أَخِيهِ شَيْئًا. And whoever I make pass judgment for him, you know, that I give him the rights of his brother because of him being what? Stronger in the argument. فَلَا يَأْخُذْهُ. Then he shouldn't take it. فَإِنَّمَا أَقْطَعُ لَهُ قِطَعَةً مِنَ النَّارِ. Because I'm only giving him something like a cut out portion of the fire. You know, like basically he's taken from the fire. You know, because he's going to be punished for that thing that he accepted when he knew that he was wrong. But that shows that the people can come to the, you know, they can come and they can debate. And the most articulate person is going to what? He's going to win. It doesn't even matter about the evidence, but it's how, you see, debating and arguing is not about the evidence that you have. You can have the weakest evidence, but if you know how to articulate it and you know how to present it, and you'll defeat the other guy who has a stronger evidence, but he doesn't know what to do with it. He doesn't know how to explain it, to break it down to the people, to get them to understand. So, you know, what you see is what? You're going to see that the idiot is going to win the argument. Because why? Because he's skilled in argument. But it's not about the evidence. Because these people, they're not concerned with evidence. You know, we don't need to argue. We don't need to debate about anything. You know, again, we have an issue. We go back to the Quran and the Sunnah, and we find a solution. That's it. So easy, right? We can sit down and go to a library without even saying a word. All right, you say this is the way. I say this is the way. You get these books. I get these books, and let's sit down and go over this issue. Khalas. And we go through the Quran and the Sunnah. We go through tafsir. We go through the explanations of the books of hadith. We go and check and make sure that the hadith that you're using are even authentic. And we make sure that everything's in line. And that's it. It doesn't take arguing. We can do this together as brothers over a cup of coffee and sit down and research it. And then we come out with more knowledge than we had before, because as we're researching what we're going to sit down while we're looking for this issue, we're going to find other issues. Wow, I didn't know that. Well, check this out, man. Look over here. You know, and maybe even you might have been, maybe you weren't close together before. Like you knew each other, right? But you weren't really close. But then through this research and through you going and looking for this masala, then you become like inseparable. You become like twins. You become like the closest of brothers just because of going through this. This is what brings love to the hearts of the believers. This is what brings barakah. All this arguing and debating and foolishness, wallahi, it does nothing but destroy us. Cause nothing but, you know, tafriqah. It causes the people to differ. And, you know, because you got now the people that are going to follow an idiot because of what? Because he's articulate, because he's skilled in debate, and leave off the evidence and leave off the deen. All because of what? Because of your desires. No, that's not from this deen, and it never will be from this deen. No matter what y'all try to do and make it like this, it's not going to be. It's not going to be from this deen ever. This deen is about evidence, and whenever we have an issue, we go back to the Quran and the Sunnah and we find a solution. And Allah knows best. So he said, فَيَحْذَرُونَ الْفِرْقَ وَيُزِمُونَ الْجَمَاعَةَ وَيَدَعُونَ الْمِرَاءَ وَالْخُصُومَاتِ فِي الدِّينِ وَيَتَّبِعُونَ وَلَا يَبْتَدِعُونَ. And he said, and they follow the guidance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set down, وَلَا يَبْتَدِعُونَ. And then they don't innovate in this deen. And they don't innovate in this deen. Inshallah, we'll stop here for take a few more questions, and then we're going to pray and go, inshallah.
الأوثان والأصنام. Is there any difference between them?
The wathan is like am, and then the sanam. Alright, but they both mean the same thing. They're idols of worship. But a sanam is more or less relegated to like an idol, something physical. But like a wathan, it could be a grave. It could be something that's not even physical. It could be a tree. It could be anything.
It could be a human that's alive.
Yeah. Well, if it's human that's alive, that's what falls into taghut.
But it wouldn't be, it's depending, because in order for someone to be a taghut, the worshipped one has to be pleased to do it. Like we can't call Isa ibn Maryam taghut, you know?
No. So instead, the person that has knowledge but doesn't forbid the evil, only enjoins good in order to avoid ikhtilaf. What's the condition of this individual? This individual, mutasahil. This deen is a deen founded upon what? كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. You know, you're the best of all nations that came out to the people. You know, تأمرون بالمعروف, that you command the good, وتنهون عن المنكر, and you forbid the evil. What is enjoining the good and you're not forbidding the evil? If you don't warn the people, then what happens is the people, they get like a hodgepodge because you're not telling them what's wrong. You're not warning them. So they're going to take from you, they're going to take from everybody else. You have to warn the people. And we're not concerned about the ikhtilaf with the people. If the people, they don't want to accept it, that's on them. But again, it goes back to like teaching the people, but you still got to be patient and you got to do it in a good manner. You don't, go up to the people and get all aggressive with them and try to warn them in a forceful way. You do the things that whenever you do this, you do it in a caring way, because you want good for the people. But you have to do it. And what is this deen going to be if you leave off that? Even though the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, "Man ra'a minkum munkaran falyughayyirhu biyadihi, fa'in lam yastati' fa bilisanihi, wa in lam yastati' fa biqalbihi." Man, there's different narrations. I'm going off whatever I memorized.
I
understand if you're telling me it's the Quran. If I'm, that's.
We took this in the daily hadith.
There's like 20, but I don't care. There's different. I might have put the daily hadith. I put a narration that I saw at the time, but that might not be the one that I memorized. I've done that a lot with the daily hadith. I put the one that I didn't memorize. All right. فَأَنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ فَبِقَلْبِهِ وَذَلِكَ أَضْعَفُ الْإِيمَانِ. So the person, if he sees any type of evil, any type of munkar, and any munkar is disobedience to Allah, then he should what? Prohibit it and stop it with his hands. And this, of course, is for the people of authority, the leader of a country, or the people that have been given that authority. Like you go to a Muslim country, then they have police, or the man, the father, the man who controls the house, and he has authority in his house to control things with his hands. All right, people that run a business, it's his business, so he has the authority to keep people from doing certain things. And he said, فَأَنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ, and if he's not able to do that, then what? Then with his tongue. And this is for the people of knowledge. And this is an obligation upon them to warn the people against that evil with the tongue, because that's what they can do, because they can't change things with their hands. And for the people, the awam, they don't have that ability, فَبِقَلْبِهِ, with his heart. وَذَلِكَ أَضْعَفُ الْإِيمَانِ, and that's the weakest of all iman. So that means there's nothing after this. And it's the other narration is what? يأتي ناس الذين يقولون ما لا يفعلون ويفعلون ما لا يؤمرون فمن جاهدهم بيده فهو مؤمن ومن جاهدهم بلسانه فهو مؤمن ومن جاهدهم بقلبه فهو مؤمن وليس وراء ذلك من الإيمان حبة خردل. So in this narration, where the Prophet ﷺ said that there will come, that there's going to come a people, يقولون ما لا يفعلون, that they say that which they don't do, ويفعلون ما لا يؤمرون, and they do that which they were not commanded, and this is like bid'ah and things like that. All right, and then also disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they do these things and they're not commanded to do them, they're commanded to stay away from it. And then, the Prophet ﷺ said, فَمَنْ جَاهَدَهُمْ, and whoever fights against them with his what? With his hand. فَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ. وَمَنْ جَاهَدَهُمْ بِلِسَانِهِ فَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ. And whoever fights against them, and this is a refutation of Muhammad Hijab, because he seemed to think that this hadith was funny. The hadith in Sunan Abi Dawood, where he said, جاهدهم بأنفسكم وألسنتكم, and he said, كيف نجاهد بألسنتنا? How can we do jihad with our tongues? And he's like, do like this.
He calls himself a Muslim.
Yeah, this is a video clip of this. So this is a refutation of Muhammad Hijab, because the Prophet ﷺ said in this hadith is a Sahih Muslim, he said, what? وَمَنْ جَاهَدَهُمْ بِلِسَانِهِ. So jihad bil-lisan is what? Speaking out against this, warning against the evil, doing refutations of the people of bid'ah. This is jihad bil-lisan. And he said, وَمَنْ جَاهَدَهُمْ بِقَلْبِهِ. And here, even the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that this is jihad with the heart. That you fight, because these shubahat and these doubts that the people try to bring, they try to enter into your heart and overtake your heart. But you have to what? You have to fight and keep it out. You got to set up like this hisn, this fortress around your heart of iman and knowledge to keep these beliefs out. So this is jihad in biqalb. And then he said, وَلَيْسَ وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ مِنَ الْإِيمَانِ. And there's nothing after this. After this jihad with the heart, after this fighting and struggling with the heart, there's no iman after this. وَلَا حَبَّةَ خَرَدَلْ. Even for a mustard seed. So this is the weakest of iman. The weakest of iman is that a person, he struggles and fights against these beliefs with his heart. But for the people of knowledge, they have their tongues, they have their hands and their pens, and they can write and refute through writing, and they can write and they can refute through speaking. But that has to be done. That's an obligation. Nobody can sit here and say, oh, I don't want to differ with the people. This is an ikhwani principle. This is an ikhwani principle where the people say, let's get together on what we agree upon, and let's leave what we disagree upon. No, because what we disagree upon is our aqidah. And if we're going to leave our aqidah, then what good is us coming together and congregating on what we agree upon? What we agree upon is what? What's your favorite cheeseburger? What are we going to agree upon? Seriously. If we put the aqidah to the side, and we put tawheed to the side, then what do we have left as Muslims to agree upon? Some fiqh issues? Nah. Like and this was the ikhwani principle going back to the, way back. And they used to use that same principle when the brothers went to go, when you have people from Ahl Sunnah, they went to go participate in the fighting in Afghanistan, and they noticed that the people had the tama'im, they had the amulets. And when the brothers were starting to make inkar on the amulets, these people like Abdullah Azam and all these ikhwanis, they said, no, brother, leave that for now. Right now, let's focus on the enemy. No, the enemy is shirk. And if that enemy is present amongst us, then we need to deal with the enemy present amongst us first before we deal with that enemy over there. That enemy over there is not as dangerous as that enemy that's sitting right here amongst us in our midst, calling the people to the shirk and bid'ah. That enemy is more dangerous for the Muslims than that enemy over there. That Russian kafir ain't no danger for us. An American kafir is no danger for us. But that munafiq, that person spreading shirk and bid'ah amongst the Muslims, that's danger. That's danger. That's huge. That's the biggest danger that we have. And that's why they get exploited. And that's what we need to deal with first. And we need to deal with these things first. And we can only do that by not watering this deen down. We don't water things down for the people. We tell the people like it is. And that's it. We teach the people the way that we, this is an amana. A huge amana. This is a responsibility. And you sitting here talking about, I'm not gonna do the inkar and the munkar because I'm afraid of ikhtilaf. Nah, man, so what? Be mukhtalif. The ikhtilaf is not coming from you. Who does the ikhtilaf come from? It comes from the people that reject the truth. You're not doing the ikhtilaf. You're calling the people to not being mukhtalif. When you call the people to the sunnah and you warn them against the bid'ah, you warn them against disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're calling them away from ikhtilaf. But the ones that reject it, those are going to be the ones that differ with you. Oh man, you deal with that. Go back and read the seerah and look at what happened to the Prophet. Go just read the sunnah and read through the sunnah and read and go read through, the history of Islam.
Even the Quran, just read the Quran.
Yeah.
Even without tafsir, you read it.
I mean, you can read the Quran. It's clear. Those stories are clear. It's always been, the ikhtilaf always started with the people that rejected the guidance.
Read Surah Al-Shu'ara. Especially that surah. Read Surah
Oh, you brought all the ayat right there.
Yeah. Surah Al-Shu'ara especially. Shu'aib, Nabiullah Lut, Saleh, Hud, Musa.
It's all throughout the Quran. Read Surah An-Nur.
Oh, yeah.
950 years he sat amongst his people giving da'wah, and look what they did with him. So what? He kept it going though, didn't he? How does one advise family members that are mesmerized by celebrity imams and simp speakers? I don't know, man. Because there's not really much that you can do. You could just keep trying to teach the people, but they're going to follow what they follow, akhi.
I have to talk my little sister out from listening to that Aki Amen guy. I had to sit down with her and to explain it to her for like 20 minutes.
Sister says, I've advised my sister for years on how she dresses in the house. I speak to her in a diplomatic, nice way, but she doesn't care. Listen, Sheikh, what other approach should I try? And you got to keep advising her. Unless you have the authority in the house, then there's not much you can do. The only thing you can do is advise her. That's it. If you had more control, then you can. Huh?
Oh, there he is.
If you have more control, if you have more control in the house, then you snatch her up. Like if you don't dress right, I'm gonna take you in this room and lock the doors, and we're gonna Royal Rumble. But it's how much control you have in the house. I told a woman to not let her kids listen to celebrity imams. She said that her kids will only listen to people who look good and sound good. The older sheikhs are unrelatable to them. This is what these celebrity imams do. They try to see. Look, you're steeped in Western culture, right? You're like in a pit of just filth and najasa and garbage and foolishness, right? So what do the celebrity imams do?
What the people do?
No, yeah, they go into that pit with you. And they hang out with you in that pit. And they say, man, this is Islam in this pit. But the real student of knowledge and the person who got out of that pit of foolishness and filth and this corruption of this society and truly hates this, he's like, I'm not coming down to y'all. I'm going to send you a rope. I'm going to pull y'all up out of this pit. But see, that's the difference between a celebrity imam and a real person who's really trying to benefit the people. A real person who's trying to benefit the people, he's not going to go down to that level. The celebrity imams, they will go down to that level and they'll stay on that level with the people because they just want to be entertaining. They want views. They want, whatever it is. And that's why you see, these people like Sohaib Webb, who's like 50 years old and still speaks like a hip hop teenager, in high school. Because he's still trying to act cool even in his late 40s, and you get, all these people like this. So that's not what it's about. It's about bringing the people out of that gutter, bringing the people out of that state that they're in, and raising them up to where Allah has blessed you to be. Raising them up with you, and not keeping them down there or going down there with them and hanging out with them in the gutter. We're not hanging out in the gutter. This sunnah is not about hanging out in the gutter. This is an honor, and this is
the quote unquote Hamza Yusuf.
Huh?
One of the brothers from this community, he told me that Hamza Yusuf said.
Why you cut me off for this?
No, I told you. No, because
I thought you were giving me information about what I asked about.
Oh, sorry.
I told you, stop cutting me off when I'm talking. Because then I lose what I was talking about. But anyways, and then now I can't get going again.
No,
but it doesn't matter. You cut me off in the middle of it's a build-up. And then you cut me off, it's over. Khalas. The question's done. Next time I'm kicking you out. I'm kicking him out. He's burping and cutting me off. All right.
Burping, hey.
But the point is, before I was cut off, without the information I thought he was going to give me, is that we're not to go down and that, if Allah has blessed you to follow the sunnah, that means that Allah has brought you into light out of darkness. You don't go back and hang out in the darkness with the people and make the darkness appear cool and put an Islamic coat on the darkness. No, this is Islam. This is the Quran and the Sunnah. This is what we should have to follow. Y'all take this rope. I'm going to pull y'all out of the gutter. And y'all come up here and hang out, with honor and dignity. No, but these imams, they want to keep the people's stuff down there because why? If the people start getting knowledge, they're not going to listen to them. They're not going to have a fan base, which means they're not going to be getting paid $10,000 for every speaking engagement, which means they're not going to be having women flocking to them in every single country with their pink hijabs, talking about marriage proposals in every single country, and they're not going to have that because they're going to become insignificant because the people have knowledge. If you want to get rid of celebrity imams, spread knowledge. That's it. If knowledge becomes the most important thing for the people, these people die out. Either one, they die out, or they do like the Hizbis in Yemen. See, once the Sheikh Muqbil rahimahullah came with the da'wah of Ahl Sunnah, the Hizbis had to go learn ilm al-hadith. They had to learn all these sciences just to compete with the da'wah of the Sheikh, because the Salafi da'wah was spreading too fast. And they couldn't keep up with it because nobody was listening to them. They look at them like, man, you're a car salesman, shut up. You're basically a religious car salesman. You're just trying to sell the people a false hope. But the Quran and the Sunnah is giving the people the truth. It's bringing the people to that light out of darkness. And they can't compete with that. So what do they have to do? They have to go now. They have to go out and start putting in effort. Right now, they don't need to put in effort because the people don't have any standards. The standards are what? Entertainment. So whoever is the most entertainment, has the best editing with the videos and all this type of foolishness, and dresses the nicest and speaks a whole bunch of words. He might speak for an hour without even mentioning an ayah from the Quran or a hadith. Or if he does mention a hadith, it's not even authentic. Some story that he got from the Jama'at Tabligh or something like that about some crocodile that spoke to the man at the tree and told him that he needed to fear Allah or something. But I mean, seriously, is this? Allah musta'an, man. This is what it's come to, right?
I told you with the Shias what they believe, right? That they're like as a Salafi, you just simply say Hadith and Bukhari. All right, we agree. The Shia, their chain of narration, it goes, quote unquote, is narrated. One of their top narrators is a donkey from the time of Noah, Prophet Noah.
They don't have chains of narrations in their books.
No.
I've seen their books before. Their books is basically what? Qala Ali. Qala Ali.
No, what
Qala Ali. Qala Ali. That's it. There's no chain of narration. It's just Qala Ali. Qala Ali. Qala Ali. Qala Ali. There's no chains of narrations.
No, like a fake one. Because it was just a bunch of bogus. And one of them, quote unquote, was a donkey, an actual himar, from the time of Nuh alayhi salam.
People believe what they want to believe, man.
قال الحمار في زمن. I wonder if they're going to say rahimahullah.
All right, man, we got to get up out of here, man. All right. All right, Allahumma subhanaka wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
I wonder if that donkey wears a thobe.